Awesome. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to this week's breathing and meditation. This month's theme is mindfulness. And this week, the topic we are specifically focusing on is regulating emotions. And today we're going to dive into what that looks like with our breathing and meditation practice. I'll start by talking at you all a little bit, and then we'll get into some breathing practice, mindful movement, and then roll it all out with a little bit of a meditation. To get us started, a daily mindfulness practice using breath meditation and mindful movement is always a great way to increase self awareness. In doing so, we become proficient at observing what our body needs so we can self regulate. The same is true of our emotional state. Using the witness mind, we can witness the energy of emotion as it moves through the body. Part of self regulation is emotional self control. The goal is not to put a lid on emotions or ignore them, but rather to feel them and to practice strategies for bringing ourselves back into a state of emotional well being. Choosing breathing and movement practices that calm us down when we are overwhelmed or energize us when we need a lift helps bring us back into balance. Emotions at the end of the day are a part of life, but they don't get to steer the ship. With that, we are going to introduce or maybe a revisit if you are familiar with some of these already, some breathing practices and movement practices to to touch on this regulation of emotions. I'll name most of the things that I'll share with you all as this breath and this movement in a space where I just am where I am in the seated position, and as if there were no other tools or ways to be around me. But I will name for the environment that you're in. I'll provide some options for you to choose how you engage with each of those and take it as deeply as you would like. Um, and I just want to name for everyone, everything that I offer is simply that, an offer. So please feel free to engage as you see fit. With that, let's go ahead and start with our breath. So wherever you are, find a comfortable way to be in your body. If the ground or something is beneath you to connect to, allow yourself to feel supported by what's beneath you. Bring in the awareness to the breath, noticing as it goes in, noticing as it goes out. Noticing where you are and how you're showing up into this space today. Breathing in, breathing out. If it feels all right for you, perhaps you close the eyes. Or maybe you just find somewhere to soften your gaze. As the breath continues to go into the body and continues to go out. Keeping this idea of regulating emotions in mind as we flow through our practice today. Practice riding the wave of breath, surfing the wave of emotion when you are not activated or in crisis. Breathing in, breathing out. Beginning to intentionally shift our breath here, taking a moment to invite in ocean breath and feel the calming effects throughout the whole body, letting the waves roll in and out with each inhale and exhale. Intentionally sitting up tall with your shoulders relaxed away from your ears, using an inhale to roll the shoulders up, exhale to bring them down and back. Eyes can remain closed if that feels comfortable for you. To prepare for this shift, becoming aware of your breath, continuing with that recognition of the breath as it goes in and as it goes out, without trying to control it at all. And then begin to inhale and exhale through your mouth. Perhaps you notice that you've been breathing through your nose. We all breathe a little bit different, so maybe naturally you do breathe through your mouth or a little combination of the mouth and nose, but intentionally shifting that breath to going in and out of the mouth. Bring your awareness to your throat on your exhales, beginning to tone the back of your throat, slightly constricting the passage of air, breathing in, breathing out. Imagine here that you are fogging up a pair of glasses. You should begin to hear a soft hissing sound. Breathing in, breathing out. Once you are comfortable with your exhale, begin to apply the same contraction of the throat to the inhales. Once again, hearing that soft hissing sound as the breath goes in, as the breath goes out. That soft hissing sound that you begin to hear is where the name of the breath comes from. It sounds kind of like an ocean if you listen closely here. When you are able to control the throat, both on the inhale and the exhale, to take this a step further, consider closing the mouth and beginning to breathe through the nose. Continue applying the same tone into the throat that you did when the mouth was open. The breath here will still make that noise in and out. And you may begin to feel a little bit of that constriction through the back of the throat when the mouth is closed here, a bit more than when it was open. Finding your ocean breath and feeling the calming effects throughout the whole body. Letting the waves roll in and out with each inhale and exhale. In this particular breathing technique, you intentionally constrict the back of the throat here to support lengthening each breath cycle. So really leaning into that, staying with your breath, noticing how it's showing up in your body. Each inhale and each exhale is long, full, deep, and controlled. As we continue our time together today, consider taking on an affirmation or an intention to inform your practice. This may be something that you're coming into the space with, or perhaps you consider one of these. As the witness, riding the waves of emotion, I am a skilled surfer. I can breathe my way through whatever weather life serves up. I honor my emotions, for they are a part of life. When I am aware of it, I can take care of it. If any of those resonate with you, consider bringing one along for the ride of this practice. Or if you have your own, allow yourself to take that with you as we continue with our breath, continue with our movement. 2 more rounds of ocean breath here. Breathing in, breathing out. In and out. Allowing that breath to find its normal, natural pattern. Perhaps we take a cleansing breath, big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, let it go. Taking a moment to check in with yourself here as we shift into our movement and connecting that breath to movement and just noticing where you feel emotional energy in your body. This happens differently for us in different situations. It may show up as sweaty palms, a heart pound, butterflies in the stomach, heaviness in the heart, the mind, the body. Noticing what you are coming into this space with today and bringing those emotions into alignment with these movements. Starting with our cobra pose here, making that connection with the snake breath. So for our snake breath, this one's a little fun, but also a little silly. And do excuse me, I was doing this before and realized because a little congestion, mine sounds really funny, but making a O with your mouth, making this O shape with your mouth and taking a long breath in, kind of like you're breathing through a straw here. And as you let it out, make a hiss like sound. So holding that as long as you can. Trying trying this out, breathing in through the mouth as if you're sucking through a straw and letting it all go as if you're pushing it out, but making a sound. So stand here for a moment, taking a long breath in and hissing on the way out, becoming connected with this breath. You may feel a sensation of coolness throughout the body. This particular breath in combination with the pose that we are going into in just a moment gives the opportunity to diffuse intensity. So continuing with that breath, breathing in, making that O with the mouth and hissing that breath out, keeping them long and steady. Option here to add cobra to complement this breath, knowing that you can stay here at the breath. Cobra pose is one that is traditionally done laying down. So if that is something that you would like to do, feel free to shift and connect the belly to the ground. But knowing that this could also be done seated, usually it's helpful to have something in front of you, but also can be done using just air, space, and a little bit of control. But essentially here, what you can do is either rest the palms or hands on something in front of you, come to the belly, or bring them out, bring the hands out in front of you, sort of more so as a guide. And with each inhale, so as you suck through that straw, opening the heart just a little bit, finding the head falling back and coming into a little baby back bend. This feels and looks a little bit differently depending on where you're coming from in here. When you're closer to the ground, you may find a little bit more of an extension in the arms, and that may take that chest up a little further. But when you're seated here, really allowing yourself to just feel that at this kind of lower intensity space as you open up the back a little bit, those shoulder blades begin to come together. And we can stay here in this cobra, breathing in, sucking through our straw, and breathing out, letting that hiss go. You can stay up in this cobra pose, feeling as the breath goes in and out of the body, or perhaps you lower back down to the ground with an exhale and open back up to the space, your environment with an inhale, or allowing yourself to explore here. Maybe it feels good to inhale as we close the heart and lower the chest. And it feels better to exhale as we open up and hiss out all that we're holding on to. Taking your time in this space with the snake breath and cobra, or perhaps you've stayed with your breath, doing whatever feels good for you, having these moments for yourself, connecting that breath to movement, connecting that breath to breath, or connecting with that movement. 2 more rounds here. When you're ready, coming back to a neutral position. This could be seated. Where we're going could also be standing. Allowing that breath to find its natural rhythm in and out of the body. Our next breath to movement connection here will flow to tends to bring energy up. This here we call breath of joy. This one's a really active one and can be really fun. I encourage you, if you would like, and if you are able to take up a little bit of space with this one. I will also engage with this seated, but knowing that it can be done standing, and that is always an option. So for our breath of joy, it's a three-part inhale before we exhale. So I'll show first and then we can go through it together. But basically, you inhale the arms out in front of you, you inhale the arms out to the side, you inhale your arms up, and then on an exhale, you let it all go. Bending over the legs, bending over the body, releasing that all. If you are standing, it may feel good to find a little bit of a squat on that release as you exhale, but allowing yourself to have fun with this, allowing that energy to be brought up, and also extending yourself a little grace. Sometimes breathing in three parts isn't the easiest thing to do. And in the spirit of extending grace, I won't talk through this next one, but I'll start a couple rounds and then open up the space to do breath of joy for a few rounds on your own. So inhale, 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 exhale is the motion that we go through here. Stand here for 3 more rounds of breath at your own pace, being graceful with yourself. Taking the time and space you need to come back as you finish up those rounds of that breath of joy. Hopefully feeling joy in this moment. It's one of those ones where I hope we all allow ourselves to have a little bit of fun and enjoy it and really energize and wake up the body. But knowing that this is one of those that we can turn to when we need to bring our energy up a little bit and also use our breath as a tool to do so. Next here, we'll continue on with our breath to movement and we're moving around a little bit here, but really taking these on as tools of how they can support bringing emotions into alignment with using movement and with using breath. Next here, I would like to offer seated twists. So if you'd like to sit down, feel free to do so. If you're standing and still energized from that breath of joy, twists can be done anywhere. So feel free to stay where it feels right for you. But for this, I encourage you to inhale your arms up to the sky. And on an exhale, begin to twist the body over to one side of your choosing to start with. If you're seated, it may be nice to rest one arm behind you, that arm on that side body, usually, and the opposite arm to that knee. And if you're standing, you may use your lower back or part of your body for support and the hip to pull yourself around here, just really twisting into this. With every inhale, finding length through the spine. And with every exhale, allowing yourself to twist a little bit deeper. Not losing our breath here when we explore different movements, but instead changing our breath to align with that movement, breathing in as we lengthen, breathing out as we twist a little bit deeper. Option here, if twists don't feel good in your body, is still inhale those arms up to the sky, but instead of twisting over, planting one hand somewhere on the side of you for support, bringing that other hand up to the sky, and then bending toward that planted hand, finding a little bit of a stretch to the side. It's a slightly different sensation, but still the same idea here. We're breathing in as we open up and lengthen, and we're breathing out as we go a little bit deeper, either into our stretch or our twist. Finding what makes sense for you, and making sure to do this evenly throughout the body. We'll spend 5 rounds of breath here, knowing that you can take your twist or your side bends, however you would like, exploring how those inhales find space in the body and how those exhales encourage you to go a little bit deeper. Taking what you need here, moving at your own pace, moving with your rhythm of breath. This may be a little bit fast for some of us, This may be on the slower side for others, knowing that wherever we are, that's okay. It's our breath, it's our movement, and there will never be anything wrong with that. Here, these twists, um, and even the side bends allow for the opportunity of a little bit of a wringing out. So with that space that we find, it usually lengthens the body and untangles all that we twist up here. And when we twist it, it allows us to kind of wring it out. Kind of imagine if you have a wet towel and squeezing it together in a weird way. That's kind of what we do with our bodies here as we twist it out. So think of that with your emotions, the opportunity to have it all held in, but instead of holding it in there, wringing it out and allowing yourself to feel. Feelings are much like waves. We can't really stop them from coming, but what we can do is choose which ones to serve. 2 more rounds of breath here before we meet back at a neutral spine. Encouraging that breath to return to its natural rhythm. And engaging with a calm emotion here. Forward fold. When you're ready, seated, standing, wherever you are, inhale your arms up to the sky and exhale, simply fold over the legs. Allowing that calmness to take over the body, take over the mind. Stand with our breath here, exploring how an inhale and an exhale feels as the body folds over itself. Deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, let it go. Wherever you are, slowly rolling your way back up, allowing that crown of the head to be the last thing to touch back at the top. Taking any reset motions you feel called to here. A reset in breath, breathing in through the nose, out of the mouth. And then this next opportunity here, we're gonna engage with back bend. So these tend to be energizing and awakening, but they also tend to take the form of many things. So take this where you see fit. I will provide a couple options of where your back bend can land today. And just know wherever you land, you'll have an opportunity to spin with your breath and your movement there. But your back bend can simply be an inhale of the arms up. And exhale as we cactus the arms out. You find a little bend in the back, opening through the chest here, letting the head fall back, allowing the heart to be open. We may return to that cobra pose that we started at the beginning, or you may push up a little further and go into an upward facing dog, really opening through the chest and the heart here. Option if you'd like to take this down to your back, to engage with a bridge pose. For that, you take it down to the back. Even if you have a chair, I suppose you can push your hips up in that way too. But allowing the feet to be grounded, plant them beneath you. And when you get to wherever you are, I'm doing this in a weird seated way, but you just push those hips up toward the sky, finding that opening through the back body, using the breath to guide that too. So as you explore this and explore your back bend, play with the idea of inhaling one way and exhaling the other way, and then switch it around and inhale, inhale the opposite direction and exhale the opposite direction. There's a number of options for back bends, and we can go down an entire rabbit hole with that. But taking one of these choices here and or exploring something that you are familiar with and allowing yourself to Energize and awaken through that back body. Keeping with the inhale, keeping with an exhale, bending through the back. Stand for 3 more rounds of breath at your own pace. In your back bend, wherever you are, you'll always be opening through the chest, shining the heart. Continue to allow yourself to do that. Notice how the energy is showing up through the body. And when you're ready, return into your neutral place of being, allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Breathing in, breathing out. Our last pose here before we shift the direction of our practice today is child's pose. So this may be one that many of us are familiar with, and it tends to be very calming. There are actually a number of different ways we can do child's pose if we are going in the traditional way of connecting to the ground. For those of you who are familiar, option to bring those toes to touch. Starting in the table, I should start here. Starting in the tabletop position is usually helpful, but bring those toes to touch, knees go wide, allowing the hips to push back, resting on the feet there, and arms go out long, finding that stretch to the backside body, really opening up. This could also be done seated. A lot of times movement is a sensation, right? So bringing those arms out nice and long in front of you, still pushing those hips back, letting that head hang heavy, connecting. But I know you probably can't hear me. Letting that head hang heavy, connecting to whatever's beneath you, even if that's the air, but really just opening through that back body, allowing that same sensation to be created with child's pose. Another child's pose option here, and again, we're listening to what we need and where our energy is showing up in the body today. Option to bring legs close together, kind of making yourself into a rock and let the arms go long beside you if you are connected to the ground. It's the same idea of a pose, but experienced in a different way with similar benefits. So finding your child's pose, either connected to the ground or seated in your space, and continue to feel as the breath goes into the body and as the breath goes out of the body. Together, taking a deep breath in through the nose, open the mouth and fog up beneath you. Stand here, exploring your child's pose for 5 rounds of your own breath. You may revisit that ocean breath. Perhaps you revisit that snake breath. Perhaps you dive deeper into your natural rhythm, but allowing yourself to feel your breath in this space, in this time. Often naming or labeling different and difficult emotions helps us to disentangle or feel a little bit of a unstick in those moments and from them. Slowly beginning to come out of this child's pose and beginning to shift the body into a comfortable way of being as we prepare ourselves for entire body scan. Really in this space, attempting to name those difficult and different emotions, and provide ourselves a little bit of emotional freedom or emotional regulation, with the idea in mind of addressing what comes up, recognizing it, and having the right choice of words or movement or breath to really respond to those. Your comfortable way of being may be laying down. This may be staying seated. Whatever works for you. Beginning to connect with that breath as you find your space. You may set the environment up for yourself with controlling the lights if you have candles or scents or something that gets you in the zone nearby. Please do engage. As you find that comfortable way of being, that comfortable, quiet place to sit, lie down, exist in a posture that feels right and resonates for you, where you can be relaxed, tranquil, and alert. Consider closing your eyes or just allowing that gaze to soften. Take a few deep breaths to allow your body to relax. Big inhale, exhale, let it go. Breathe in, breathe out, allowing this to be your deepest yet breath in, breath out. Begin to shift your attention to sensations in the body. Bring your awareness to your body by noticing your posture. Feel the world of sensation occurring within your body at this very moment. Notice your breathing in and out. Perhaps you place a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, or both hands on your belly, to really begin to feel your breathing, the out breath and the in breath. If that does not work for your focus, feel free to release those connection points. If it helps, perhaps you focus on just one. Maybe it's the breath leave in the body. Maybe it's as the breath enters the body. What we're doing here is noticing. Staying here for another moment, another minute, some time in this space. Along the way, you may notice the body begin to relinquish some control, to send some of that tension out into the world. As the body perhaps decides to do this, allow it the space to be free to do so. When and if your mind begins to get distracted, come back to your breath. When you notice the mind has wandered, as it always does, gently come back to your breath as a touch point. In and out. Again, in and out. Stand with your breath here. Stand in this moment. Allowing the mind to be free. Allowing the mind to be open. When we self-regulate well, we are better able to control the trajectory of our emotional lives and resultant actions based on our values and sense of purpose. Breathing in, breathing out. As you continue mindfulness of breathing, notice what emotions begin to surface. Shift your attention from your breath and ask yourself, what am I feeling? What emotions am I feeling right now? Right here, right now. Knowing that that may have changed from the moment we came into this space together to where we are now. If you came into this exercise without any strong emotions, perhaps you're feeling contentment, or perhaps you're curious. Or maybe there's another emotion inside, such as a longing or yearning, or perhaps a sadness or joy, worry, perhaps a sense of urgency. When is this girl going to stop talking to us? Maybe loneliness. Or maybe you're bursting with pride or feeling lost or envy. Maybe you're having a lot of feelings. At the end of the day, we're emotional beings. It is possible that we feel more than one thing at once, and that's okay. But in this moment, wherever you are, label the most prominent emotion or emotions that you're feeling. Try to identify the strongest feeling that you've had come up for you. Give it a name quietly in the midst of all the feelings that you're feeling in this moment. And, and perhaps thinking of it as using the body as an antenna, begin to pick up on fate signals, noticing how that's showing up in the body, noticing how that's showing up in your mind. These faint signals first allow yourself to become aware of the emotions. And when you have an emotion and you have a name for it, you have a label for it, if we must, then repeat that name 3 times in a kind and gentle voice. For example, worry, 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 joy, 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 calm, 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 sad, 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 angry, 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 numb, numb, numb. Return to your breath. Feel your breath. And nope. And now go back and forth between your breath and your emotions in a relaxed way. Continue to shift between the breath and the motion you are holding on to. So when you feel the emotion, label it and then return to your breath. If you are experiencing a sense of overwhelm by the emotion or it's disturbing, then just stay with your breath until you feel better. Knowing the act of labeling the emotion is important, but the idea here is to be equipped with tools that allow us to face these emotions, using the breath as a tool to return to that relaxed state. Permitting yourself to show yourself love and kindness, continuing to breathe and really feel each breath as it goes in As it goes out, if you did connect the hand to heart, hands to belly, or whatever variation you took, allowing yourself to continue to feel the breath, quite literally, as it goes in, as it goes out. Feeling the warmth take over your hand, take over your body, and the loving kindness that you are sending to yourself through yourself. The goodwill that's within you and has even inspired you to undertake this exercise, to engage, to be in this moment that may be uncomfortable. The wish to be happy and free from suffering, feeling that innate good will and breathing through your heart. And when the emotion arises or sweeps away your attention, just label it and return to your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Taking a moment here to bring awareness to any areas where you may be holding tension, where you may be holding anger, sadness, and allowing yourself to let them go until your whole body is completely relaxed. Breathing in and up through the body, starting at the feet, to the calves, to the thighs, to the hips, to the belly, to the chest, to the face, to the crown of the head, many of these areas where we hold tension in our bodies naturally. And allowing yourself to let it go and get heavy as we breathe out from the crown of the head, through the face, to the chest, the belly, the hips, the thighs, the calves, all the way back down to those feet. Giving yourself the gift of resting deeply is essential to both your physical and emotional health. Remembering it only takes a moment to connect with the breath and hold space to feel our feelings, but also acknowledge and address our feelings. As you feel ready, if you did find your eyes closed, slowly begin to open your eyes, coming back to this space, preparing to continue on with life, knowing that you can always find refuge in your breathing, and most emotions can be made more workable by labeling them. As we've explored today, there's a breath that can pretty much meet us anywhere we are, whether that be high energy, low energy, or somewhere in between. Wherever you found yourself, beginning to allow the body to wake back up. Perhaps you rub the thumb across the fingers, point and flex the toes, wiggle it out. If you would like to, and you found yourself on the ground, rolling over to one side to reset. Often the right side allowing space to release stress from the heart, left side sending coolness through the body. Taking a moment with yourself wherever you found yourself before we come back to the space together. Ending with just a community breath. So opening up through the heart, rolling the shoulders up toward the ears, down the back. Inhaling the arms up through to the sky. Exhale as we bring them down to our heart center, chest center, actually. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. Thank you all for showing up for you more than anything. Continue to explore this month's theme, mindfulness, and how that manifests and shows up for you. And also continue to explore that regulation of emotions. Just by being open to that is, in fact, doing the work. With that, Until next time, friends.